5, 3 and 4. Does anyone need me to do any bit of number 3? Or all of it? Or any of it? Right, okay. So 3, part 1. Okay. So what you need is, you need your unit circle. So 6 and the city. Right. Okay. Am I okay? This is question 3 on page 555. Right, okay, and the first one asked me this for sine 130 degrees. Okay, so first off you need to know where is 130 degrees. So this is 0, this is 90 degrees, this is 180 degrees, and this is 270. So 130 is between 90 and 180, agreed? So 130 is in there, right? Are we okay with that? Right, so is sine going to be positive or negative? In here, 130. Sine 130 is going to be positive or negative? It's going to be positive, because all sine is, all the signs are, that's what the S stands for. So all the signs are positive. So it's definitely going to be a plus sign, and then it's going to be sine of the reference angle. So the reference angle, you either, it's 180, take away 130, or it's 130, take away 180, or it's 360, take away 130, whatever one gives you an angle in here. The reference angles are always in here. So 50, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So your answer is plus sine of 50. How do we get 50? 180 take away 130 will give me 50. Right? And 50 is in here. So the reference angle is always between 0 and 90. Okay? So I might as well go on with these. Okay? So cos of 115. So cos of 115, so where is 115? You have to figure out where 115 is. Right? It's between 90 and 180. It's in here again, isn't it? In this sector, is cos of an angle positive or negative? It's negative. The only one that's positive is sine. That's what the S stands for. So cos is negative, and then you need to get your reference angle. So that's the same as minus cos of the reference angle is 180, take away 115, which is 65. Is that okay?
Yes, I don't understand how you're able to know if it's positive or negative.
See this unit circle that you learn off, right? If it's in the first quadrant, the whole lot of them are positive. So the whole lot of them are sine, cos and tan, right? So there's 3 of them. So the whole lot of them, it sounds like there's hundreds of them, there's 3 of them. So A means if the angle is in here, all 3 of them are positive, okay? If the angle ends up in here, only sine is positive. That's what the S stands for. So only sine is positive. That means if you're getting a tan or a cos, as I was here, it's going to be minus number. Okay? Here, if the angle is between 180 and 270, so if we get sine of the number, it's negative. Right? If we get cos of the number, it's negative. The only one that's positive is tan of that. Okay? And here, if the angle is between 270 and 360, sine is negative, cos is positive, because that's what the C means, and tan is negative. Okay? So they're all positive, sine, cos and tan. They're all positive if the angle is in here. If the angle is in here, only sine is positive, so cos and tan are negative. If the angle is in this quadrant, only tan is positive, so that means sine and cos are negative, right? And if it's in here, only cos is positive, so sine and tan are negative. Okay? So you just have to have this sketched in the corner of your page, and you have to figure out what quadrant it's in. Okay? And then to get the reference angle, right, okay, the reference angle is, you have to express that as a number between 0 and 90. So to get it, it's going to be the same numerical value as sine of 50. So on your calculator, if you get the sine of 130, you'll get an answer. If you get the sine of 50, you'll get the same answer. Right? if you get the cos of 115 on your calculator, right, if you get the cos of 65 and stick a minus in it, you'll get the same answer. Right, okay, so the next one is part 3. It's 10 of 160. Right, 10 of 160. Now, girls, we don't need to be able to figure this out because we can just type 10 160 into the calculator and press equals. Right, but the ones that I'm going to do in a minute where you have to work backwards, that's when you need it. So here we're just practicing what it all means, but we don't actually need it, because if I asked you for the 10 of 160, you would type it into your calculator and press equals, right, and the minus will come up if there's a minus. Okay, is that all right? Okay, 10 of 160, which quadrant is 160 in? It's over here, isn't it? 90 to 180. Would you agree? So is 10 positive or negative in here? So they've all been in this quadrant so far. Is 10 positive or negative? Negative, right? And then your reference angle. So the reference angle is either take it from 180 or 180 take away the angle. What's the answer? 20. That's your answer.
Wait, Miss, how come the first one was positive though?
Because it's in here and sine is positive. So because we're getting sine. But if I asked you for cos of 130, it would have been negative. If I asked you for tan of 130, it would have been negative.
So if you're given like tan of like 200, would that be positive?
Yes, it would. If I was given cos of 200, that would be
Positive.
cos of 200, negative. Right, okay. So next one. No. Part 4 is part 4, where am I? Number 3, cos of 220. Right, okay, they've moved to a different quadrant now, okay, so now we're talking about 220 is between 180 and 270, so that angle is in there, right, 220 is in there somewhere, we really don't care where, right, okay, it's cos, so it's cos positive or negative in that quadrant? Negative, right, okay, and then it's the same as to get the reference angle, it's that take away 180 or 180 take away that. So what's the answer? 40. Because 220 take away 180 is 40. Agreed? Okay, next one is part 5, sine of 250. So sine of 250, so you have to figure out where is 250. It's in here again, isn't it? Now, is sine positive or negative in here? Negative. The only one that's positive is 10, isn't it? Reference angle, take it away from 180 or take it, it's the angle take away 180. What's my answer? 70. Okay. And as I say, girls, this does not come up very often, right? Okay, so you don't have to, we really don't need to worry about it. Only for the examples I'm doing today, right? Okay, so the example I'm doing today is the only time you won't be able to use your calculator. Is that right? Okay, so tan of 300, 300 would be in here, wouldn't it? Is 300, tan of 300 positive or negative? Negative, because the only one that's positive in here is cos. So it's negative, so it's negative 10. What's your reference angle? This time you have to use 360. So 360 take away 300 is 60. That's my answer. Is that all right? Okay. Number 4, right? Okay. So number 4, right, is sine of 120. So this time you have to go, it's the same as number 3, except this time you have to work it out and turn it into a number. Right, okay, so sine of 120, I'm just getting my log tables here, save me getting the calculator. Right, sine of 120, 120 would be here, wouldn't it? Positive or negative? Is it a plus number or a negative number? The sine of 120, it's going to be positive, right, okay. What's the reference angle? 60. So we get the sine of 60 and we put a plus in front of it. So on the calculator you get a sine of 60, right, okay, and it'll come up as root 3 over 2. Don't bother turning it into a decimal. Root 3 over 2, and you know it's a plus. That's all you have to do. Okay, so for number 2, right, it's cos of 135. Okay, 135 is in here again. Is cos positive or negative in here? So it's in this quadrant again. Is cos positive or negative? Negative. Right, what's the reference angle? It's 180. Take away 135. 45. So on your calculator you get cos of 45. So on your calculator the cos of 45 is 1 over root 2. And you stick a minus in front of it, because that's what that means. Is that alright? Are we getting them? I know they're a bit weird. Right, sine of 240 is the next one.
Yes, no, I put like cos of 45 in the calculator. Is 1 over 2 the same as the
Root 2 over 2.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Right, sine of 240. So 240 is in here, isn't it? Is sine positive or negative? Negative. What's the reference angle? Sine of? What's the reference angle? 60? Because 240 take away 180 is 60. So on the calculator you get the sine of 60. So the sine of 60 is root 3 over 2. And you stick a minus in front of it. Is that alright? We good with this? Are we getting them? Right, okay, part 4. Part 4 is sine of 210. So from your unit circle, 210 would be in here, wouldn't it? Is sine positive or negative? Negative, right? So it's definitely going to be a minus answer, right? Okay, and what's your reference angle even? 30, isn't it? Because 210 take away 180 is 30. So on your calculator you get the sine of 30, right? Okay, and you stick a minus in front of it, so it's minus a half. Okay, now you could just put sine of 210 into the calculator and get minus a half anyway, so, but as I say, we're learning the method, right? Okay, we know you have calculators and we know you can do it on the calculator. Okay, right, so next one is, what was that? That was part 4. Part 5 is cos of 330. Right, 330 would be in here. It's between 270 and 360. Positive or negative for cos? It's in here. Positive or negative? Positive. What's the reference angle? 30. Very good. So you're getting cos of 30 and you're just putting a plus in front of it. So the cos of 30 is root 3 over 2 and it's a plus. Right, next one, part 6 is tan of 225. So tan of 225 is in here. Positive or negative? Positive. Reference angle? Take away 180 from that and you'll get 45. So in your calculator you get tan of 45 and you put a plus in front of it. So tan of 45 is 1. So it's plus 1. Is that okay?
Miss, you know, if you're given like 227,
Yeah, calculator.
would you put it in like tan or cos though, or would it depend on like what's put in front of it?
What's what they ask you for? Yeah. Okay. Part 7 is cos of 150. So 150 is in here, positive or negative? Cos is positive or negative in here? Negative, isn't it? And reference angle would be 30. I think I've lost the crowd now. So cos of 30, root 3 over 2, and you put a minus in front of it. Is that okay? Right, part 8, sine of 300, I'm nearly finished, sine of 300, so 300 is in here, sine positive or negative? Negative, sine of, what's the reference angle? 60. Okay, so negative sine 60, sine of 60 is root 3 over 2 when you put a minus in front of it. Okay, finally the last one is 10 of 150. So 10 of 150, so this is Ix. 10 of 150, 150 is in here, 10 positive or negative? Negative, so it's negative 10, 30, right, that would be the reference angle, and you get 10 and 30 in your calculator, and it's 1 over root 3, and you stick a minus in front of it. Okay, is that alright? Now I know you can just put 10 150 into your calculator and it'll give you minus 1 over root 3 automatically. Okay, right, okay, this is why the next example is why we're learning what we're learning. Okay, so it's the same section, so what example am I going on to in your notes? 3, 2, 3, so this is 2? Yeah, okay, thanks. Right. Right, okay, so I'm just going to draw my unit circle over here so I have it on the same page. So 6 and the city. You know that's a program, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's pretty old now. So, but you've all heard of it, have you? So you don't think I'm talking crap up here? Yeah, right, okay. Or if you don't know what that program is, go CAST, look, C-A-S-T. Right, it spells the word cast. Is that all right? Okay. Right. Now, this is where the calculator will only give you one answer. We need two answers, right? So if sine of A was a half, right, before today you would get shift and sine and a half, wouldn't you? And you'd figure out for me that A is 30 degrees. Agreed? Yeah, if you do that in your calculator, you get 30 degrees. Are we all happy with that? That's how you would do it before today. But I want to get two answers. So two answers somewhere between 0 and 360. So there's two answers in here. I've just got 30, haven't I? Haven't I? So I've only got one answer, right? Okay, so there's another answer somewhere. Okay, so first off, positive or negative? Is the number positive or negative? Is a half positive or negative? Positive, isn't it? Right, would you agree? It's positive. There's no minus in front of it, it's a positive number. It's sine. Where would sine be positive? Sine is positive in two quadrants. It's positive in the first quadrant, because they're all positive in the first quadrant, aren't they? And it's also positive in here, isn't there? Would you agree? So sine, that's a positive number. Sine is positive here and here. Agreed? So I have to get an answer in each quadrant. Okay? So I'll go on my calculator, I do shift sine and a half. If there's a minus in front of that, just ignore it. Okay? So just if there's a minus in front of it, you're just getting the reference angle. Right, if you do shift sine and a half, it'll get you 30 degrees. Okay? That's an answer in there, isn't it? Because remember, in here is somewhere between 0 and 90. Would you agree? So I have one answer. Right? Okay. To get an answer in here, right, the rule is you add or subtract the reference angle to 180. You know, the way up to now we were taking away 180 or take away 180, right? So you add or subtract 30 to 180 to get your second answer. But I want to end up in here because that's where the second answer is. So what will I do? Will I add it to 180 or subtract it from 180? Subtract. So 180 take away 30 will give me 150. There's my two answers. So A can be 30 or A can be 150. Now, that's not going to make sense until we've about 4 examples done. Okay? But if you were to get the sign of 30, you'd get a half. If you were to get the sign of 150, you would also get a half. Okay? Right? Bear with me, I will do a second one. And a third one. Sorry, is that down? Can I go? Sorry, are you still writing, Orna?
No.
Yeah, everyone okay? So example 3 is next. Right, okay, if cos of B is equal to minus, let's just make up 0.4153, so it's just a decimal, right? Okay, find two values of B for B, if B is somewhere between B, this just means, this symbol here just means B is somewhere between 0 and 360. Okay, so it's somewhere between 0 and 360. Is that alright? So the first thing you have to do is draw your little unit circle, right? 6 and the city. Is that alright? Okay. Is cos of B, is it positive or negative? Is that a positive number or is that a negative number? It's a negative number, isn't it? Because there's a minus in front of it. Agreed? So that means there's two answers. There's one in the quadrants, one in each quadrant where cos is negative. So is there one in the first quadrant? No, because in the first quadrant cos is positive. So that's not an answer, yeah? In the second quadrant, is cos positive or negative? Negative, so there's going to be an answer in here. Here, is cos positive or negative? Negative, so there's an answer in here. Would you agree? And here, is cos positive or negative? Positive, so there's no answer in there. Right? See how I figured out where my two answers are? Right? Yeah? Are we okay with that? So then, in the calculator, I do shift cos. Now, ignore the sign, because I dealt with the sign, right? Okay, so just do 0.4153, right? Into the calculator, that, and press equals, and you end up with 65.46. So that means the angle, it could be 65.46 degrees. Is that right? Is it 65 point? Is that an answer? Where is 65.46? It's in the first quadrant, isn't it? Is there an answer in the first quadrant? I've already figured out where the two answers are going to be. Is there an answer in the first quadrant? So is that an answer? No, it's not. That's not an answer. Okay? But I use it to get an answer in the second quadrant. So to get an answer in the second quadrant, what do? I subtracted, here's 180, subtract it from 180. So 180 take away 65.46 equals uh, 114.54. Okay, that is an answer because that's in the second quadrant. I also have to get an answer in the third quadrant. How will I get an answer in the third quadrant? Instead of taking it away from 180, what could I have done? Added it. No, if you take it away from 360, you'll end up with an answer in here, and I don't want an answer in here. So yeah, add it to 180. So 180 plus 65.46 equals 245.46. Is that right? There are my two answers. Okay, so if I need to get an answer in the first quadrant, you just do the inverse cos sine 10 on your calculator, and that'll give you an answer in the first quadrant. If you need to get an answer in the second quadrant, you subtract it from 180. If you need to get an answer in the third quadrant, you add it to 180. And if you need to get an answer in the fourth quadrant, you subtract it from 360. Okay? Another example. Again, I know it's confusing and I know it's right. Okay, example 4. Right, if 10 of C is equal to minus 0.33. Okay, and then find two values of C. And don't worry about this last bit, it just means the answers are going to be between 0 and 360. Is that okay? So you draw your quadrant, your unit circle, X and city. 10, I'm talking about 10 now, right? Is 10 positive or negative? Is it a positive or a negative number? Negative. So which quadrant is 10 negative? Is 10 negative in the first quadrant? No, because they're all positive there, aren't they? Is 10 negative in the second quadrant? Yeah, right, because the only one that's positive is sine. Is 10 negative in the third quadrant? No, it's positive, isn't it? Right, is 10 negative in the fourth quadrant? Yeah, okay, because the only one that's positive is cos. Right, you with me? So I need an answer here and here. Agreed? Right, okay, so then on my calculator I do shift 10 and leave out the sign because you've dealt with the sign already. So just do shift 10 0.33. Will someone do that for me, and we'll round it up to the nearest whole number just to make it handy for ourselves. Say 18. Right, 18 degrees is in the first quadrant. Is that an answer? No, because I don't have an answer in the first quadrant, or I don't. Right, I need to get an answer in the second quadrant. So how do I get an answer in here? It's 180 take away 18. Right? So 180 take away 18 would be 162. 162. Right? And I need to get an answer in the last quadrant. So how do I get an answer in the last quadrant? It's 360 take away 18, which is 342, and there's my two answers. Okay, I'll do one more example. Right, okay? So cos of B is 0.25, okay? So is cos positive or negative? Positive. So you have to find the two quadrants where cos is positive. So is cos positive in the first quadrant? Yes. Is cos positive in the second quadrant? No. The only one that's positive is sine. Is cos positive in the third quadrant? No, because the only one that's positive is 10. Is cos positive in the last quadrant? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I have two answers. I'm going to get one answer between 0 and 90, and my other answer is going to be between 270 and 360. Okay, right. So then you go on your calculator, you go shift cos 0.25. Again, we'll round it up to the nearest whole number just to make life easier for ourselves. So shift cos of 2.5, and you'll find out that B is
76.
76.
Yeah.
Yeah, 76. Right, okay. Now, 76 is in the first quadrant. Is that an answer? Yeah, it is, because I need an answer in the first quadrant. So yes, I have an answer already, right? And then I have to get an answer in the fourth quadrant. So how do I get an answer in the fourth quadrant? It's 360, take away 76, which will be 284 degrees. So there's my two answers. One B could be 76, the other is B could be 284. Okay, ready to try a few? Okay, so page 555, let's do 5 up to 11. So page 555, and it goes on to 556. Do you want the pictures up, or have you books? You're okay for books, yeah?
It's 6 chapter every second page.
You're missing every second page, is it?
Yeah.